I say a couple to the flex they represent for Wayne Global TV there. So I say you know the code in the Wayne Global TV is what fully blessed on the 90 days. So I say yeah man to the fullest. Yeah man, make sure them log in to Wayne Global TV. So I say check it out. So I say one cup of flex it. So I say Wayne Global. When you watch you know film a plan up and try to put them on it and we head. But man I live too long them want Wayne Global fitted. To him juggle so smooth that them want him life for dread. I throw the bank I like the break but we ain't all about the bread. Open up on the ears and no listen when we said cause we lyrics them so smooth like the linen on the bed. Them one with a fall chill living on the edge I must say true make this them. We in Global TV. We are 9.
I truly believe our political system needs some fixing. Too much you hear about corrupt politicians and nothing happen. Too much you hear about politicians who take away poor people money and none of them reach in jail. And to the young people at home or wherever you are, and to all Jamaicans, I have one question for you. Take a look at your communities. Take a look at the sliding dollar. Take a look at the failing healthcare and ask yourselves, where is the progress? Where is the progress that this arrogant and disrespectful government keeps talking about? With this existing callous government, matters have gone from bad to worse.
With this existing callous government, matters, Samuda says, has gone from bad to worse. Good evening and welcome to the Global Television Group. Thank you all for joining us this evening. Vibes Cartel is on another countdown again. The arguments will start on the 10th of June. At the end of that, he will hear if he will face a retrial or he will become indefinitely a free man from the murder of Clive Lizard. Good evening and welcome. Thank you for joining us. Good evening to those on the X, those on Twitch, and those on YouTube Forum. Good evening and welcome. Thank you for joining us. Today the sun was brilliant in London. It went up today to 22 degrees. And I took advantage of it. I went for cycling. I went walking barefoot. It is approaching the end of our hibernation. So we will be soaking up whatever inch of the sun approaches. We will be sucking it up. So thank you all very much for being here. Sunshine, good evening and welcome. Debbie Jervis, good evening. Patricia Matthews, good evening. Natalia Freeman, good evening. Annie Smith, good evening. Amazing Grace, good evening. Gloria Morris, good evening. Amazing Grace, Annie Smith. JP, good evening. Beat and Teach, Wagwan, Wagwan. Noreen Robinson, good evening and welcome. Marlene Garden, good evening and welcome. Kate M, real sweet. Colleen Humphreys, good evening and welcome. Jacqueline Murray, good evening and welcome. Mary Messenger TV, good evening. Rosemary Samuels, The Easy Jerk World, Manners and Respect Bro, how are you? EM, good evening. Joan Higgins, Monica Hall, good evening, everyone, and welcome. Thank you all for joining us. Attorney-client privilege, Sharon Powell. I didn't really know that thought, Delroy Henry, some bright lawyer may have to clear that up. Attorney-client privilege. I didn't know when acting in the capacity, Forever Young, as head of the legislature, then one remains a private citizen, soliciting advice on taxpayers' money from the Attorney General. I don't understand that bit. I'm lost for understanding. That bit I'm leaving for one of the very bright lawyers who will be able to explain the technicalities of it for you. But me never hear that yet. But government acclaim legal privilege. Me not understand it. But Delroy Chuck was at some fancy fair to do with the Ministry of Justice business plan for 2024 to 2029. Business plan. Pamela McNeil. But I want you to listen to Delroy Chuck for a minute and see if justice for the people is in focus, or is it that they are patching things in order to gain investment? I don't know. I tell you all the while, and I don't know if Uno believe it. But when members of the Jamaica Labour Party speak, whose birthday is it? Hold on, let me roll back and see. The Easy Jerk World. Happy birthday, bro. Is it your birthday? Hold on, let me see. Not the Easy Jerk. No, it's Happy Friday. Sorry. Look, I should just say me blind. When I say me blind, I say Happy Friday and start and think Happy birthday, missing. Never mind. I've been telling you all the while, when JLP people speak, we go into total confusion. But listen to Delroy Chuck and make what you will of it for yourself.
With this strategic plan, in completing cases speedily and in a timely manner, it will allow more revenue to come within the system. When the matters are not or still being litigated, lives are being held up, but more so, investment cannot take place. So this strategic plan, Chief, is timely to ensure that more of these matters can be completed, if not by mediation, arbitration, but certainly by court adjudication. Building new courts, improving the courts, bringing in technology into the courts, all of this should ensure that this strategic plan can show us how more technology will come into the courts, how the courts can be improved, and certainly we hope over the next few years that Jamaica can tell the world that we have the best court system, or one of the best across the world.
I like when they say things with a straight face. I like when they say the things and speak like they believe it. Is it not about investment? Is it not about clearing up the backlog in the justice system to rather meet investors' confidence? Is it not? Or am I fool, Sharon Peer? You have to remember sometimes I'm a fool and I often get it wrong, you know. But is this not about, but then again, it's called Ministry of Justice Business Plan. Listen again, is it not about investment?
Because with this strategic plan, in completing cases speedily and in a timely manner, it will allow more revenue to come within the system. When the matters are not or still being litigated, lives are being held up, but more so, investment cannot take place. So this strategic plan, Chief, is timely to ensure that more of these matters can be completed, if not by mediation, arbitration, but certainly by court adjudication. Building new courts, improving the courts, bringing in technology into the courts, all of this should ensure that this strategic plan can show us how more technology will come into the courts, how the courts can be improved, and certainly we hope over the next few years that Jamaica can tell the world that we have the best court system, or one of the best across the world.
When you walk and talk the news, Christine Gilbert, Marbury Live, when you run with the news, when you work your way up, hopefully if you run with the news, please do Delroy Chuck. Also remember to tell them that one of the standout thing in our justice system, bros, said Paula Llewellyn, JC, is that she regularly sent tainted jurors into deliberation and accept that decision from tainted juror, Maxine Cummins. So when you want to go run and talk, say Jamaica have one of the best court system in the world, or if not the best, remember to tell them. So the Privy Council just tell them where they so to violate with fundamental rights in order to secure a conviction. Remember to tell them Delroy Chuck and his image. Remember to tell them that especially the Jamaica Labour Party don't do nothing straight. Everything is done sideways. Look upon a huge confusion, incompetency, corruption, misunderstanding going on in a parliament from dishcloth, jaw down tablecloth and jump up there. And now I step all over tablecloth. And the living room become in disarray. Because, not because me a few plate made up on the table, I clean you for clean them dishcloth. You not dead if you not able to spread and present yourself dishcloth into a tablecloth manner. Therefore, you see the entire living room is in disarray. Andrew Holness spoke about failure on his recent election campaign. Failure that him and I generation who were born in the 70s. He spoke about the failures of the People's National Party for the 18 and a half years of the PJ Portia administration. Let's listen to Andrew Holness and failure. Bear in mind that we just have find out the whole heap of water chuck, workable chuck that Andrew decommissioned in order for him and him friend them chuck water and earn through their private chucking. Let's listen to Andrew Holness, because we know so when Andrew Holness talk, 99.9% of lie and another 1% of confusion.
We know that there is a generation of Jamaicans who were not born in the 1970s, and they have no clue as to how the other party destroyed Jamaica. They have no clue. There is a generation born in the 90s and the early 2000s. They have no clue as to how the 18 and a half years of the PNP destroyed Jamaica.
Interesting statement, Prime Minister. Let's look at some of the destruction you said the PNP caused, and let's see if Jamaica would be better off without it. The Rural Agricultural Development Authority, RADA 1990, committed to promoting the development of agriculture in Jamaica to enhance the national economy and improve the quality of life of rural farm families. That's gone. The Office of the Utilities Regulation, OUR, 1997, was established to regulate the operations of utility companies in Jamaica. That's gone too. The Jamaica Urban Transit Company, 1998, revolutionized the public transport service within the Kingston Metropolitan Transport Region, Spanish Town, and Portmore. There goes a main part of Jamaica's transport system. But wait, what about Jamaica's first state-of-the-art transport hub for the corporate area, the Halfway Tree Transport Center, that opened in 2008? Are you seeing a trend here? The regulation of the telecoms industry. In 1999, there was only 5% mobile phone subscribers, totaling 120,000 people. This change broke the monopoly, brought new players to the market, introduced prepaid service, low prices for handsets, and by 2007, there was 100% penetration. That would be simply no more. The Highway 2000 was initialized to connect to Jamaica via a comprehensive highway system, upgrade Jamaica's infrastructure, provide economic opportunities for growth, and create jobs for the hundreds of thousands of Jamaicans that rely on these highways. Can you imagine life without them? The PATH program, 2001, allocated through the Ministry of Labour and Social Security, the Program of Advance Through Health and Education PATH is a conditional cash transfer CCT program aimed at delivering benefits to the most needy and vulnerable in society. Say goodbye to that as well. The National Environment and Planning Agency, NEPA, 2001. That was created to promote sustainable development by ensuring protection of the environment and orderly development in Jamaica. Without it, our watersheds, mangroves, and areas like our cockpit country would all be without protection. That's gone too. The Emancipation Park, 2002. This lush 7-acre landscape was created to be a reminder of Jamaica's emancipation, freedom from bondage, and a reminder to excel, a green space in the city that, yep, you guessed it, you have to say goodbye to this beautiful oasis. The National Health Fund, 2003. This fund helps improve patient experiences, prescription services, and access to medicine in Jamaica, as well as inpatient and outpatient pharmacy services for the public health sector, infrastructure development, and much more. You guessed it, that would be gone as well. Without the major upgrades to Sabina Park in 2005 and the creation of the Trelawney Multi-Purpose Stadium in 2007 and the Montego Bay Sports Complex, otherwise known as the Catherine Hall Sports Complex, in 2010. Tourism Enhancement Fund, 2005. That was established to lead tourism innovation in the areas of infrastructural and sustainable projects, human capital development, and tourism linkages. Gone with the wind. While we're on the topic of tourism, say adios to all the fancy Spanish hotels that bring in so many of our tourists and provide jobs. Thanks to the Master Plan for Sustainable Tourism Development in 2002. And the Falmouth Cruise Shipping Pier that began development in 2009 and brought a record number of tourists to Jamaica. Say later to that as well. Let it not be forgotten that in those 18 years, education was a major priority. As a result, 64 schools were built and refurbished, including 17 new basic, primary, and high schools in Western Jamaica between 2004 and 2005, as well as Greater Portmore High School in 1995, Ascot 1997, and Cumberland 2000. Disappear. Now, I don't know about you, but it looks like the PNP spent 18 years laying a good foundation that Jamaica, including the current government, is benefiting from. By the way, if you're watching this using a community hotspot or broadband, you can thank the PNP and the establishment of the Universal Access Fund that later developed into the Universal Service Fund, which provides free community Wi-Fi and hotspots island-wide. Oh no, that means you will have to say goodbye to this too.
There's a difference in how the Jamaica Labour Party and the People's National Party communicate. The People's National Party will be able, government cycle by government cycle or year by year, to show you or demonstrate to you the policies or services or infrastructure development that they implement when they were at government. The Jamaica Labour Party is not capable most time of doing that. They're rather telling you what the People's National Party has not done or what the People's National Party has destroyed, but never been able to tell you. It's the same thing we saw during the local government election campaign where Mount Golden presented a policy paper before the local government election. The Andrew Holness regime promised us one, but we never got it. We then came to the budget and we saw Mark Golden lay out a strategic and tightly policy crafted budget. Listen to Andrew and Nigel and see if no confusion will not end up in. I wonder why we can't find Nigel to fix the mess he made in the budget. Where art thou, minister behind the ring? We can't find him to fix the problem. But all they will tell you is what the People's National Party has not done. Let me just big up people who have just arrived, then tap into a few of the day's development. Michelle Lewis Wilson, Joan Higgins, Norman Ferguson, RJ, Violet Watson, good evening and welcome. Paulette Francis, Amazing Grace, Brittany Lyon, Georgia Dennis, Rose, Tash, Arlene Bendos. Yes, thank you all. Good evening and welcome. Let's look at some, because I'm going to read an article for you in the Gleaner. But let's just catch up with some of these days, the day development first. Then we'll look at that article about going to court over the Attorney General's opinion. Direct Gordon.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. Here's what we have in the bulletin. 2 persons, including student, in police custody following firearm seizure in St. Elizabeth. 1 man dead, another injured in suspected house arson attack in Spanish Town. And later in sports, JAA downplays reports of multi-million-dollar contract offer from Adidas. Thank you for joining us. I'm Shimela Pullen. Here are the details. Farmers and residents in several parishes continue to reel from the effects of a severe drought affecting sections of the island. Communities in St. James and St. Thomas are among the affected parishes. More in this report.
We're having a very big problem with our water.
But she's not the only one. There's a severe drought affecting the island, and according to the National Water Commission, it's only getting worse. The government warned residents in Western Jamaica to brace for water restrictions. But Western parishes aren't the only areas being affected. Our news team visited communities in St. Thomas.
It is very hard to live in this community that water goes to town and we don't have any water to use in our bathroom.
We are suffering for the water and we really need it.
But it's not only affecting homes. Schools are also bearing the brunt.
School suffering no water. We have to be chucking water. Sometimes pay over 4,000 for one of those plastic containers. So now the drought is on. It has compounded the problem and it makes it worse.
Residents have now taken matters into their hands.
A group of young men went and they did their own analysis of what was wrong. And they have come up with solutions. They came up with a list of items needed to fix the existing water gravity system. And we have had the support of the parish council and the councillor to get procurement done and for us to go about fixing the system.
Earlier this week, Prime Minister Andrew Holness announced the rollout of $150 million for trucking of water to affected parishes. Member of Parliament for Southern St. James, Homer Davis, says an additional $200 million will be spent to upgrade several water systems in the parish this financial year.
Soon and very soon, they will see a major improvement in their water supply.
Amoy Harriet, TVJ News.
The Clarendon police are trying to locate a female suspect following the murder of a man in the parish on Thursday. The deceased has been identified as 36-year-old Leroy Chambers from Effortville. According to reports, Mr. Chambers was seen at midnight with a female along a dirt track at Margaret Avenue in Maypen. Hours later, citizens stumbled upon his body lying motionless and called the police. The body appeared to have multiple stab wounds to the upper body and throat slashed. 2 knives were also found in close proximity to the body. A man is dead and his brother hospitalized following a suspected arson attack along Jones Avenue in St. Catherine this morning. The two brothers were at home when their house was allegedly set ablaze by arsonists. Details in this report.
This is what's left of the 2-bedroom dwelling shared by the brothers. The deadly fire started sometime before 4 o'clock Friday morning. Police are theorizing that the house was razed suspectedly by arsonists. A man identified only as David perished in the fire, while his brother had injuries. The body of the deceased man was found on the veranda. Their neighbor spoke with TVJ News.
Maybe somebody call bulla and I wake up and come outside. And my son wife call me, say I borrow my phone. And when I look, I see open red on me. And I look up and I see fire. And I run go up there. Appear. Fire. Yeah, me have to help the people next door. That always me have to draw. I draw like me a fireman. Okay, ma'am. I'm going to leave wheel on and I see fire in the ear. The redness. I will up some man and I see the redness in the ear.
An adjoining house was also damaged in the incident. The resident of that home says she's devastated.
When I get up, I only could have just grab my baby and myself and just come out of the house. I go back inside for some things and the blazing, I could just drop them and come out.
She says she lost everything in the fire.
Me and my daughter alone live on them way there. We have just one room.
Yeah, you lost everything.
Everything. I don't know where to turn right now or what to do, but thank God for life.
The police say investigations are ongoing. Amoy Harriet, TVJ News.
The St. Elizabeth police have taken 2 persons into custody, including a student, following a gun and ammunition find in St. Elizabeth this morning. Head of the St. Elizabeth Police, Acting Superintendent Coleridge Minto, says a targeted operation was carried out at 4:30. This was in the Brinkley area near Junction.
During the search, one premises was searched and a .44 Smith & Wesson Magnum was found inside the toilet tank, along with 1 live round. 2 persons were arrested, a male and a female. The female being a teenager, student of a prominent high school. Both were taken into custody and will be further processed.
Meanwhile, the team also found materials to suggest the suspects are involved in scamming. And welcome to the
water crisis. Jamaica don't have a water crisis. Jamaica don't have a drought either. Sue McDuffie, Rosie D, David Cigar, Sig, and everyone who've just joined, good evening and welcome. Jamaica don't have a water problem. Jamaican callers, well go on, bro. What Jamaica has is bad management problem, lack of good governance problem, lack of operational ability in those who are employed in the bureaucratic and technocratic affairs of government. I said it this morning, I'm going to say it again, and I will continue to say it. St. Elizabeth alone, the amount of rivers and springs and all salt where we have a St. Elizabeth. St. Elizabeth alone could supply Jamaica with water. Bad governance. Bad governance is the problem. Stealing, corruption. And then you have gangster like Omar Davis. I come tell we say we're going to see rapid improvement. Patrick Evans, let's see if we can fix it before election. Because remember, Liad Andrew Holness, I forgot to cue this video. Remember, Liad Andrew Holness, you told us when you were in St. Thomas. You told us when you were in St. Thomas that you know the people is crying out for road and water, and you have heard them. And because the economy is doing so caring now, you will be able to make sure us down there who are suffering will start feel some of the care from that economy which is doing so well up there. I want to never remember the budgeting the jolt properly. Who remind you now when on a run off said the jolt never do good? Was it this video? Let me see.
You hear how my voice sound? It sound raspy. This voice is for the ladies.
Straight. My private is not straight.
So all the man them just listen. But my voice is this way because I have been through the nooks and crannies of Jamaica. Reasoning with the people. And there's a lot of talking. Because there are a lot of issues facing Jamaicans in their communities. This election is a local government election. It is not an election to determine who is the Prime Minister and your member of Parliament. It is an election to determine the representatives who have responsibilities for local, municipal, and infrastructure issues. So municipal issues like your garbage collection and infrastructure issues like your local roads, your parish council roads, and your local water supply. That is what this election is about. Because of political desperation and opportunity, such man has tried to turn this into a national election. I don't know the wisdom in that political calculus. Because what it has done is to go and stir up Labour Party answer. Because people realize that they have to come out and support their government. Their government is doing well, they understand that. At the national level, they see the change that has happened, the transformation that has happened. The frustration is not at the national level. The frustration, the pain points, is at the local level. The road, your water, your garbage collection, your interaction and interface with the transport system, and your interaction and interface with other public services. That is where the frustration is. So I've spent the last 8 years with the team making sure that we have a strong economy. Now, we're going to make sure that the economy is a clearing economy. An economy that deals with the issues that affect you.
I hope an AI may I use, but follow the symbolism. You notice when he talk about at the national level, his hand goes like this. But when he spoke about the local level, his hand went like this. You're following the symbolism? But it's Andrew Holness, which promised us a lot during the 2015 general election campaign, that has not delivered. Can Andrew Holness deliver in the next 15 months? Given that 3 of the things he spoke about at that standing in St. Thomas Mavis are 3 of the very pressing issues now: garbage collection, road, and water supply. Can you, Andrew Holness, implement that challenge you have posed yourself to make sure that we, or you point your finger at down yourself, start to feel some benefits of what you and your team spend the last 8 years fixing up this up? Is our country safe in the hands of this Prime Minister? Is your democracy safe, Jamaican people? But let me share this article so we can start getting to the shenanigans of government. That is all it has literally become. Shenanigan after shenanigans after shenanigans. It is literally what is going on. JP, how are you? Let's see if Andrew Holness will be able, and his team, to clean up Jamaica in the next 15 months, to fix our roads in the next 15 months, to fix our water, irrigation, and distribution problem across the country. Jamaica now suffer from what? We river bed and we reservoir them dry out. Just in my hometown, in my capital, Black River, we house one of the longest river in Jamaica. In my community, we have another river where we call Cassie River. And all sort over St. Elizabeth, you're going to find water stream. And them I tell you, we say Jamaica have drought. When water just start Jamaica waste and a turn round and a dash way so. And how the people them in the corporate area and the rich area them don't suffer the water problem where poor people in the ghetto and rural Jamaica suffer. If it's a drought, uptown people say have drought too. Rich, posh Jamaica, sold out Jamaica, they have drought. And why make when all of the blunder them? Why make when all of the blunder them are gone in a Jamaica, a poor people alone, blunder can meet? What, we blunder prone? Is it that we are blunder prone? Why you never say blunder uptown yet? Beside carnival, you're not going to hear uptown people come out and talk about rubbish. Sold out Jamaica, now go come out, come talk about rubbish, because those are well-kept, high-end communities. And a zinc fence with it behind where you can only hear with but you can't see it. We not up on hill and look down pan unu. We in a pit and look up to unu. And thus the treatment follows. Jamaica don't have a drought crisis. Unu can't fool me. Nothing don't go to Jamaica people. It's engineering crisis, social engineering a crisis. Nothing don't go so. Don't believe them. Lie story. Believe you me. Lie and story. That which is of Babylon. But I'm sorry for our country, because when you go ask mongoose, you ask mongoose and snake to look after your chicken them. What a sorrowful ending. The husband, the mongoose. The wife, the snake. You have thrown your chicken. Left your chicken in charge. Left the snake, rather, and the mongoose in charge of your chicken. What a sorrowful ending. There is still time to raid the nest, though, and save those chickens. Believe you me. There is still time to raid the nest and save those chickens. But I'm going to start read. Hold on, let's see if we can bring it up. So, right. Let me try fumble my way through the scandal. The Attorney General denial of access to information requests from the advice provided to Parliament and how to handle report by the Auditor General is not on its face surprising. Hold on. Derek McCoy's chamber relied on Section 17, subsection A of the Access to Information Act, which preclude the disclosure of the official document if they would be privileged from production in a legal proceeding on the grounds of legal professional privilege. Oh, Jesus. Bear with me, let me roll time to show these adverts. This fundamentally is an assertion of lawyer-client privilege, which essentially takes place, which essentially places the ball back in the court of Juliet Holness, the Speaker of Parliament, whose rigid stance against releasing Derek McCoy's opinion has raised serious question, not about Ms. Holness' political judgment, but of public and constitutional law. This issue is whether Ms. Holness as the Speaker of the House, can withhold from other members of Parliament and by extension the public, thereby treating it as private, a legal opinion that was requested by her predecessor in an official capacity. There is also the question as to the rights group, Jamaicans for Justice, has raised of who in the specific circumstances is the Attorney General client and his obligation thereto. So is Juliet Holness the client of the Attorney General, or is it us, the people of Jamaica, that are the client of the Attorney General, and therefore that advice was provided to us and not Juliet Holness in a private capacity? Boy, oh boy, the sorrowful lack of understanding, corruption, incompetency, backwardness, and all that it is that is allowing our parliament to fail and break down by the day. But continue. This newspaper believes these are important matters that ought to be resolved by the court. So as the, and this is the thing that upset me with Mark Golding all the time, because this whole debacle should have been in court long time, an emergency application, because when with the Supreme Court, you have what is called a leapfrog application, where when the matter is of grave constitutional importance, we're talking about two of the confusion in two of the head branch of the Constitution, the executive and the legislature. The person who the Constitution gives the right to solve this problem here is the judiciary. Mark Golding is an established lawyer. Though he might not be a constitutional lawyer, Mark Golding has advice to constitutionality because PMP full of lawyers. Constitutional law, every one of us who go to law school must study constitutional law. It's a core subject of law. It's not a subject that you can decide if you want to study that one. It's a core subject. You must do it. Because if you don't understand constitutional law, you're not going to understand nothing else. If you don't understand constitutional law and the legal system, you're going to struggle to understand everything else. So all of us who you see go to law school, all of us have to read constitutional law. This thing should have been in court long time. From to make the first blunder. As soon as the budget debacle kicked off, this matter should have been in court. However, read on. This newspaper believes that these are important matters that ought to be resolved by the court so as to provide clarity, establish at least a minimum standard of transparency to which the speakers are bound, and to prevent the distraction of the kind that has shrouded the work of Parliament for several months. You see? How much of that several months should they know in it? Hold on, this thing rolls slow. Stakeholders, including public policy and transparency campaigners, who can show standing in the matter, should join in. That means them ask all Jamaicans and civil society in Jamaica who have standing, join in this lawsuit and let's take a class action lawsuit to seek clarity for the speaker, the dumb, thief, criminal, liar, land thief, wash jugs money for your brother in an apartment complex. Your jugs dealing brother. Woman, don't let me go off the handle upon you tonight. I would drop off of the hanger for you. Anyway, continue. Stakeholders, including public policy and transparency campaigners who can show standing in the matter, should join in asking an appropriate arm of the court for a ruling and the validity of Miss Holness' action, as well as what the limits on the power of the speakers are, and any assertion of the rights of Parliament to determine how to conduct its business. Parliament in Britain can decide how it's conduct its business because they are not subjected to a constitution. In Jamaica, it's quite much different. They are subjected to the constitution. Britain can make it up. This is the beauty of the British Parliament and its unwritten constitution. Them can make it up as them go along, and as long as they get a majority vote on the bill, it becomes legislation. When you're dealing with a constitutional document, that the branches which we are speaking of sits below the legislature, the executive, and the judiciary. So it's time for the court to get involved. Mount Golden is way too slow on this. This is rooted in the decision last year by the former speaker, Marcia Dalrymple Filbert, Miss Phil Wimple, to end the old convention of immediately tabling report in Parliament. Prior to when they are Dodge, we never used to go to this. It was by convention, they get tabled immediately. Instead, Ms. Dalrymple Filbert ruled that those reports would have to wait for 2 months, given the requisite minister time to comment on them. Why has Nigel not commented all this time before the report and after the report, now that we know what Uno and Nigel are hide from? Still nothing from Nigel. Nigel mess up the budget and gone and hide. This, she said, that is Mrs. Phil Wimple, was in keeping with the requirements of Financial Administration and Audit Act and the Public Body Management and Accountability Act. Ms. Phil Wimple also ruled that reports from the Integrity Commission would first be sent to a Parliamentary Oversight Committee before being tabled. These decisions were met with outrage by the parliamentary opposition and the wider society, especially when it emerged that the Speaker had requested and received opinion from the Attorney General, which she declined to publish. The Speaker, however, quoted from the opinion by the Parliamentary Legal Counsel that gave cover to her action. When before her ruling took full effect, Miss Phil Wimple was forced to resign over claim of misuse of vehicle duty rebate scheme. Juliet Holness, the new Speaker, decided to stick with her predecessor's decision, but with modification. The time log and Auditor General report would remain, but only some categories of report from the Integrity Commission would first be reviewed by the Oversight Committee. Boy, be a dancing and rigmarole. Ms. Holness also decided to release the opinion of the Parliamentary Council, but not those from the Attorney General. Meanwhile, after months of limbo at Parliament, 2 reports were in March returned to the Auditor General. They were promptly sent back by the Auditor General, Ms. Pamela Monroe Ellis. It is not clear whether Ms. Monroe Ellis' decision was based on her reading of the Constitution with respect to tabling of reports done by her office, or because of the length of time the document were with the legislature before they returned them. In the event, Ms. Holness tabled to those documents, but indicated that her decision was only because Parliament was going into a month's recess. She also implied that her underlying its ruling remained. It would be a messy affair should Ms. Monroe Ellis continue to forward a report to the House for them only to land in Parliament purgatory or sent back by the Speaker. That purgatory thing means an inhabited area or a perishing area, something of the sort of that. I don't know why they always write with these big, annoying me words. In that context, the opinion of the Attorney General is important to be contrast against that from the Parliamentary Legal Council upon which Ms. Holness hangs her decision. It is against the norm of transparency and good governance, the word with them Freda. Whether its conclusion, the Speaker should want to keep the Attorney General opinion secret. Jamaicans for Justice, through its executive director, Miguel Jackson, raised an important question of whom in the case was the Attorney General, the legal advice to the government, client, and whether that he did amount to legal advice to the government covered by confidentiality or merely sharing an opinion on law sought on Parliament behalf. She said JFJ is of the view that the Attorney General ultimate client is not the government by way of the cabinet, but the public. The Attorney General don't represent the cabinet. They advise the government on you, the people's behalf, which are the government. They are our administrators. So therefore, the advice was provided to us and not to the cabinet. The Attorney General should therefore have the power and obligation, if necessary, to publish his legal views on important matter while maintaining the confidentiality of discussion with the cabinet. These issues should be ventilated in the courts. That's the end of that article. I blame Mark Golding for this staggering. Many people have been saying for time now, this issue, Master Esther, good evening, this issue should have gone through the court, Tada Charlie, Jackie Grime, Simone Terrell, Kate M., should have gone through the court and ought to have been in the court. A lot of these things, as I've always said, because Mark Golden does not have the voting power in Parliament, Mark Golden, every sidestep where Andrew make, tie him up in the courts. It's an effective way of challenging tyrannical government. Every sidestep, you use the constitutional court against them. But Mr. Golden is rather slow to act, and thereby allowing this government ram raid and plunder over everything that is Jamaica. Let me remind you of the Diaspora Intervention and Prevention Task Force demonstration, which will take place in this time New York on the 10th of next month, 10th of May. And it is located at the Jamaican Consulate in NYC. And the address is 300 East 42nd Street, New York City. So, if we're not anywhere on the eastern belt, or northeastern belt, I think, of North America there, go out and show your support. Assist in the fight against barbarity and tyranny from wherever you are. When they want to spread them propaganda for mess way up and tell we lie, they use their same media sources. Now that we have outrun mainstream media, and we now walk and look for wedding and them something there, then it is our duty to make sure we use our platforms to hold this crooked government to account. Natalia said she will be there. I hope you can also join in as one of my other reporters from a different angle, so we can see from different angle of the demonstration. But all of that we will sort out when the time is closer. My chief North American correspondent is going to also be on the ground, so we will have our usual angle from Debbie Jervis on the ground also. So the Jamaica Diaspora Crime Intervention, Prevention and Task, let me say it again. The Diaspora, Jamaican Diaspora Crime Intervention and Prevention Task Force is having a demonstration, a stand-up day for the people of Jamaica. Stand up for changes, fight against corruption, crime, poverty, failed health care, poor education, and a whole host of other things they will be demonstrating about. And that will take place at the Jamaican Consulate in New York. And that is located at 300 East 42nd Street, New York City. Screenshot the information written on the screen, on the screen by Debbie, and I will also put that poster up in my YouTube community area also, so it will be there to screenshot from also. But take the information on the screen, and the time for the demonstration is 9 a.m. Eastern Time to 1 a.m. to 1 p.m. rather, Eastern Time. So it's your timeline over in North America. But this attorney-client privilege is a whole nother new blunder of the breakdown of governance in Jamaica, the lack of understanding, the incompetency of the wife of the prime minister, the ineptitude of the wife of the prime minister. And the prime minister is so daring. It is so insulting to the country to see how much disrepute and debacle that the wife of the prime minister has brought our legislature into. And one, they don't see the need to correct all of what is happening, retracting the letter, apologizing to Miss Curtis, apologizing for the lie they told on Mr. Golden, apologizing for the lies they told the nation, apologizing for the lies they told on Miss Ellis. Or if not last resort, shuffle the cabinet, reshuffle the cabinet, and remove the Speaker of the House, replacing the chair with a competent legal mind. Juliet don't have a legal mind, sir. She have a thieving mind. She have a fraudster mind. She have a drug dealing mind. She have a criminal mind. That's not the mind for that chair. You need to be able to read and understand law in the legal context and the legal technicalities of it. Not just on the black and white word you see in front of you. This is where the problem is coming from. Juliet is understanding the law in black and white. It is not how law is read. This is why Fancy did everything different. Every day is a problem. Nothing isn't working. The business of the parliament not upon track because there is so much shadow over it. Nobody not trust we're going in there anymore. Nobody not believe none of the malarkeys will come out there anymore. And this government who is in charge is rather tone deaf or disrespectful to the nation, to the point where Nesta Morgan don't see any problem, don't see any outrage, because the People's National Party and those other who are talking doesn't really matter. It's not our JLP people who are talking. It's the opposition and vloggers. So I don't see any outrage. Have Nesta Morgan been reading The Gleaner since the walkout? All right, me know say bloggers don't make no sense too, no. But have you been reading The Gleaner's editorial and commentaries since this whole, especially the budget debacle starts? The good governance debacle starts. Have you read the Gleaner editorial or commentary on a day-by-day or a weekly basis, Nesta Morgan? Or everybody who writes in the Gleaner? Everybody who writes in the Gleaner on this issue, them a member of the opposition or denies the community. People will country mash up. But there is still hope though. we can pull it back. I guarantee you we can pull it back. But it takes people power to do it. Arlene Foster, how are you? It takes people power to do it. It takes all of us to care to do it. It takes all of us to stand up to do it. It takes all of us to care for the future generation, for the next generation, successive generation, to do it. But if we don't do it, especially those of you at home who continue in a limbo of fear and refuse to stand up against tyrannical government who continue to tread on your democracy, your system of good governance, and breaching your fundamental rights. If you don't stand up, no matter what we do abroad or what we do on social media, it's not going to be enough. What we are doing are the support mechanisms, the mind awareness, the awakening of the mind. But the work on the ground have to be done by you, the people on the ground. So the time no don't be a fight off on ourselves and a shoot off one another. It is about time all the different fractions in Jamaica realize we have one common problem: the oppressors. Whether it be in a white face, a black face, a Chinese face, all of us are dealing with one common enemy, the oppressors. And until we understand it like that, start to treating it like that, start to reacting to it like that, nothing much is going to change. We are going to, like for the last 50, 60, 70 years, remain in the same cycle of hope that proves nothing. We are going to remain in the same cycle of hope and do nothing. And what we're doing, we're subjecting future generations to horrible tyranny and failure. Because this, our generation, since 1965 civil rights struggle, we have really dropped the ball. We have accepted a lot of these fancy phrases, which were, that's all they were, fancy phrases: equality, diversity, inclusion, civil rights, affirmative action, and all of these things. But we still catch fire. We still catch fire. The fire from the black faces in our generation and lifetime even feel hotter than the fire from the white faces. Because you wouldn't think to say, it's because we white, them white, and we black, why them cheat with so? Why them a cheat with some still, now that we black and them black? It make no sense to you? But I want to thank you all very much for being here this evening. Have yourselves a lovely weekend. Enjoy your weekend. If the weekend is sunny in the UK, I too will be enjoying the rest of the weekend if it's anything like today. But thank you very much for your continuous support on the Global TV group. Join us back here on Sunday night when Global TV will return to look at the issues of our country and whether Juliet Holness stomach grow sick and him decide to choke and walk out of the house. Good evening from Global TV and have yourself a great weekend. Thank you all. Good night.